Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining me for another day text. Today is Monday, May 20th, and we are still working our way through the letter of 1 John. As those of you who join me regularly know, we work our way through the biblical texts, the books and letters that have been collected in what we call the Bible, as well as other related texts and histories. Whatever it is that we can find that involves the God Jah or credibly relates to Jesus as the biblical Messiah, as well as how we can treat others the way we want to be treated, like the Golden Rule teaches, that's what we're interested in. That's what we promote. So we read through the various biblical texts and histories and group together passages that pertain to a specific subject. And then we discuss them so that we have more information about these early texts and letters, as well as an understanding of how we can apply the things that they taught. Good morning, everyone. So we'll get started here in just a moment, and then after the day text, after we read the text and make a brief application, I'll give some updates about some additional shows that I have for this week. Okay, so let's get right to it. 1 John chapter 2, and if you want more information about the history of the text of 1 John, you can look in the description where I provide some of the early manuscripts and papyri, or you can go back to the first video in the series where I begin each new letter and text discussing the best available evidence for that text. Okay, so with that in mind, let's get to today's verse grouping, which is going to be 1 John chapter 2, verses 2 through 17. And starting in verse 12, John writes, "My children, I am writing to you because sins have been forgiven, where you are concerned, because of his name." He's talking about Jesus. Verse 13, "Fathers, I write to you because you have come to know the one who is from the beginning." He's talking about Jesus again. And if you go back to 1 John 1:1, it's where he first talks about the one from the beginning. Just like in his gospel or great message history, he opens it up by discussing the one who was in the beginning with God. And so let's verse 14, or rather the second part of verse 13. "Young men, I write to you because you have defeated the wicked one." Now he's going to repeat a couple of these things in the next verse, but it's interesting when he talks about the young men defeating the wicked one. You might think that he would say that about the fathers, right? The older ones, they've been around more and probably dealt with, obviously, trials and tests more than the younger men. So why does he say, "Young men, you have defeated the wicked one"? Because it's more difficult for a young man to set aside the things and desires of this world and to focus on Jah, or Jesus, the one who is from the beginning, and the things that are being discussed in this letter. So that's why he says that, because of the difficulty involved with younger people giving Jah praise. Even though that should be the most obvious thing we all do, the world in which we live doesn't cultivate that view, and so it's more difficult for younger people until you become old enough and wise enough to recognize that the things in the world are not permanent, as John is about to tell us in the rest of these texts. So verse 14, "Children, I wrote to you because you have come to know the Father. Fathers, I wrote to you because you have come to know the one who is from the beginning." Remember, I told you he would repeat some things from verse 13. And then he does it again in the next part. "Young men, I wrote to you because you are strong, and because the message of God remains with you, and you have defeated the wicked one." Just like he says in verse 13. Okay, verse 15. "You should not love the world or that which is in the world. If anyone loves the world, the love of the Father is not in that person. Because all that is in the world, the passion of the flesh, the passion of the eyes, And the arrogance over one's life is not from the Father. Rather, it is from the world. Verse 17, and yet the world and its passion quickly disappear. But the one practicing the will of God will live in the coming age. It's interesting here when we read about how if anyone loves the world, verse 15, the love of the Father is not in that person. And yet John 3:16 says what? God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whoever might believe in him should have life. So which is it? Did God love the world, or does he not love the world? Well, world, cosmos, it can apply to different things. There are other words that can be used to describe the world as well, the inhabited earth. But world in the sense of the structural elements that comprise the system that operates to keep things going. The entertainment, the politics, the military, all of those things that are operating on the earth are only doing so because Jah allows it. He didn't design the earth for those things to be here operating and committing, getting involved in wars or promoting entertainment that is blasphemous or disgusting, and systems that are unfair in terms of economies of scale and worker involvement. Those kinds of things have been set up to keep people oppressed or to benefit some and not everybody in the same way. That is the way that Jah designed the earth to be. So the world can refer to both the people, all of the people in the world, and it can also refer to the structural elements that keep the system that we live in going. And so we make a distinction between all of the people in the world, even though we're sinful too, and we're not so great that Jah had to send his Son to save us. He chose to do that, and his Son chose to come by obeying his Father, because they could see the condition in which we brought ourselves through the influence of wicked sons of God. So they gave us an opportunity to live again through faith in Jesus Christ. And that's why he says that young men have defeated the wicked one. That's why he says children have come to know the Father. And that's why he says fathers have come to know the one who is from the beginning. They all understood these things, the basic teachings that we are to proclaim, that the Father Jah is God, that Jesus is the Messiah, the Word who was with God in the beginning, and that we should treat others the way we want to be treated, not by loving the world, that is the things that comprise the system that operates, but by loving the world, that is the people in which, or who live in the system that operates, many of whom support it, many of whom are oppressed by it, and others who look beyond it to the coming age. That's us. Because the world is quickly passing away. Verse 17. That's why you go through these various trends, all these different political institutions and governments. The world is constantly changing because it's trying to keep people attracted to the change that it presents versus the permanency that Jah gave us in the first place. The permanency that exists underneath the system of things as part of the actual earth that Jah gave us, but which does not yield its full power at this time. But it will. It will yield that power in the future, just like it was designed to do in the Garden of Eden, and until the time when Cain killed Abel, and the ground was further cursed. So we're looking forward to the coming age, the time when the system that operates today is gone, and that all those whom Jah decides will live on to cultivate a new earth that will bring about things that are beneficial to humans and that praise God for giving us all these things, and not that blaspheme him and reward him by presenting films and production and novels and ways of life that are disgusting, hurt other people, and are the opposite of the way God made us to live. So be very careful and do not get caught up in the world. We're all in the world, right? We have to live in this world. We get to use some of the benefits that come with the system that operates, technology, doing these videos. There's lots of things that have come about as a result of our Jah-designed humanity. But the choices we often make are opposed to Jah in ways that then take the things we've made and turn them into things that are harmful, like weapons and other destabilizing components. Even things like clothes, the things that we spend a lot of money, labor, and time on that originally Jah did not make us to make, but that we have to make now because of the condition we're in. So to the extent that you can avoid the influence of the world and its promotion of abusive lifestyles like homosexuality, women who are not submissive to men in the right way, men who don't love women in the right way, pedophilia, all these terrible, disgusting practices that abuse other people so that the abusers can be pleasured at the expense of other people. That's the opposite of the golden rule. The golden rule is treat others the way you want to be treated. Not try to take advantage of as many people as you can as if somehow you're going to get away with it and there's a score tab. And if you just keep taking advantage of people, you win. That's the opposite, and that is actually the way you lose. So, keep these things in mind. We don't need anything in the world. What is it in the world that is so great? We have to have it. Look at the examples of people who lived in the past. Okay, let's take some of the best examples of people who have made full use of the world. And you could look at any ruling person today. You could look at any ruling person in the past, like the pharaohs of Egypt. Okay, they had it all. They had the subjectivity of all the people. They had all the wealth, gold, riches, massive structures and buildings. And yet, when we look at the pharaohs today in all their prior glory, what do you see? It just doesn't look that appealing to me. I mean, we all like gold. We all like wealth in the sense that, we're human and we're impressed by structures and rulership, but it just doesn't look right. It doesn't look fulfilling. In fact, they're gone. All that wealth, all those massive, impressive structures, except for their crumbled remnants, are gone. See, it doesn't last. It's passing away. Everything that people do in association with this world passes away. All that gold, all that power, all those massive structures, gone. And that's how it has been since the beginning. That's not going to change until the day comes when we're in the coming age and the New Jerusalem is here permanently as Jah's holy city that will govern the earth so that we can bring our glory, not our filth, into it. In fact, if you read Revelation, you can see it says nothing that's filthy will get inside. Yet in this world, it's like a holding tank for all the filth of all these terrible, disgusting people. It's like a toilet bowl, right? But it's Jah's earth, so it's not 100% rotten. It's just people have defaced it. They've vandalized the earth, you could say, with their disgusting behavior and practices. So all of those things will be gone. And the sooner they're gone, the better. Keep these things in mind. They will help you to put your focus and your emphasis on the right things. Fathers, children, women, young men, young women, you have what you need. You have the Father, you have the Son, and you have you and me as a family of people who worship Jah and who promote Jesus as the biblical Messiah and the way that they made things as the right way to live. The world promotes the opposite. We promote the way of Jah. So I thank you all for joining me today. Later on, I'm going to do. You may have noticed yesterday I did first thoughts on Batwoman, the new series that they're promoting. That's full of abusive themes, anti-male, homosexual themes. I'm going to do a part 2 on that, second thoughts today. It's going to be a live stream a little bit later this afternoon. But the things they're promoting are just so backwards and obviously wrong that we need to do something. We need to take a stand and let people know this is not okay. They already know, but they're trying to get away with it. They're trying to promote these abusive lifestyles and anti-male thinking as if it's okay. It's not okay. It's very damaging, not only to the people who are doing it, but to society as a whole. So I'm going to continue to take aim at all of this promotion of abusive lifestyles and anti-male agenda, because it's all designed to do one thing: blaspheme Jah and the things that he made and the way that he made them. Why? Not because it makes things better, I can tell you that, but because people are selfish and they would rather do what they want to do than stand up for what is right. So whoever would like to join me later today during that live stream, feel free to do so. But I'm going to have some extended thoughts, and I'm going to show clips from the Batwoman trailer. And then I have some other Hollywood garbage dumps that I'm going to be doing this week. We should be, tomorrow I'm not sure if I'll be here for the day text. I have a very early appointment, but I should be here the rest of the week as we work our way through the rest of the letter of 1 John and consider the information that he presented to us and to the early Christians to whom he wrote. So I thank you all for joining me. I hope you'll be able to join me for the live stream on Batwoman later today, or for another day text this Wednesday from the letter of 1 John.